I don't believe we will ever have good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of the government. Because we can't take them violently out of the hands of government, all we can do is by some sly or roundabout way introduce something they can't stop. F.A. Hayek, 1984. In 1976, the IEA published Denationalisation of Money by Hayek. In it, he argued that government monopoly of money must be abolished to stop recurring bouts of inflation and deflation, and that, like law, language and morals, money too can emerge spontaneously. Has the emergence of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies alike made his insight relevant? Today, I'm going to explain how the most popular cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, operates and where it stands as stateless money. How does Bitcoin work? The way Bitcoin operates is complicated, but in its essence, a network of computers across the world run the Bitcoin protocol and process transactions, creating a public transaction ledger, known as blockchain. Users of this blockchain can send whole Bitcoins or less across the network to other users via digital wallets on their phones or any computer device. Some of you may have heard of these miners and been left even more confused on the topic. Miners are a part of this computer network and use computer processing power to compete in creating the next block on the blockchain in return for a payment in transaction fees and new Bitcoin, a system known as the proof of work consensus mechanism. The pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, understood that there had to be an economic cost, electricity in this case, when creating new Bitcoin. How many people use or own Bitcoin? At the time of recording, it is reported that over 85 million people worldwide have created a Bitcoin wallet since its inception in 2009. Benefits of Bitcoin: digital scarcity and double spend. The benefit of cryptocurrencies, which Bitcoin pioneered, is the invention of digital scarcity. Digital items can be copied. Think of JPEGs and the unlimited copies that can be created. Cryptographers had tried to solve what is known as the double spend problem for decades. An example of how this is currently avoided is to focus on your daily transactions. Visa records your transactions and ensures the same money is not spent twice. But Visa is a centralized third party. All the trust is in Visa as an organization. Bitcoin uses decentralization via code to avoid centralization. A way to understand how Bitcoin solves the double spend is to imagine 5 people standing in a circle. They all have 10 apples each, and whenever one person transfers their apples with one another, everyone is informed and each record it. Now, imagine person A transfers 2 apples to person B. The transaction is communally noted. This goes on and is a way to think of the Bitcoin network in operation. Person A then tries to make a fraudulent transaction by sending, say, 10 apples to person C. This is impossible as everyone has a full audit of transactions and knows he only has 8 remaining, avoiding the double spend. As Lawrence Wright, professor of economics at George Mason, explains in his 2014 paper, Market for Cryptocurrencies, put it, with such a de facto counterfeiting protection, the quantity of Bitcoins remains on its programmed path. Set monetary policy. Bitcoin's monetary policy is written into the Bitcoin protocol and halves the supply roughly every 4 years. This issuance is very unlikely to be changed due to its decentralized nature, which some argue is one of its main benefits. A publicly accessible monetary network with a transparent and limited issuance of coins divisible by 1/100th of a million. Although this is seen as a positive, there are unintended consequences that will be covered later in the video. Portability in times of crisis. Having a network that effectively allows anyone with a device and an internet connection to transfer and hold their value without having to trust a third party is something free marketeers and social liberals should welcome. Whether you are a Ukraine refugee, Venezuelan citizen, a person sending remittances to the family in El Salvador, or fundraising for a cause the local government or payments provider does not agree with, such as recent events in Canada, Bitcoin has proven indispensable. Geography agnostic mining. Miners are profitable when they can access the cheapest energy. Previously, it has only ever been profitable for energy providers to provide energy in close proximity to developed or populated areas. This changes with Bitcoin as mining is geography agnostic, turning once non-profitable places that have high renewable capability and potential, and turning that energy into Bitcoin that can be traded internationally. New payment solutions. Now there is the Bitcoin Lightning Network that allows next to zero-cost transactions using Bitcoin. New companies are challenging traditional remittance providers by using these low-cost transaction exchange rails and avoiding normal banking transaction fees. Person A can send dollars to person B in another country, whilst in the background, the company transports the value on the Lightning Network. Creative ways of utilising the underlying network continue to rise, so I wouldn't be surprised to see network participation continue to increase. Negatives of Bitcoin. Volatility. Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market is definitely volatile. Having a currency that can change value in double digits from one day to the next is hardly a sufficient or practical use for a medium of exchange. The accepted functions of money are medium of exchange, unit of account used as a denomination of trade, standard of deferred payment accepted to settle debts, and store of value, retain purchasing power into the future. Depending on whether you are fully embedded within the cryptocurrency universe, use cryptocurrency out of necessity, living in a failed state, or just an average citizen, these vary drastically. But generally, Bitcoin is not used in functions 1, 2, 3, and very questionable whether it meets function 4 with the current volatility. Now, many people within the cryptocurrency space say that as the adoption and value increase, the volatility will reduce. This is yet to be seen, but is a possibility. Limited supply makes poor money. In Bitcoin's case, only 21 million Bitcoins will currently exist. As hinted earlier in the video, many experts have explained that this inelasticity is a negative and not a positive function. In the 2014 IEA paper, New Private Monies by Kevin Dowd, he explains, from the point of view of Bitcoin price stability, the root problem is a fundamental and inescapable tension between the following three factors: the inelastic Bitcoin supply schedule and the fact that supply is not responsive to demand. Second is achieving significant take-up relative to existing currencies. And third is avoiding a rate of price increase that would likely trigger a bubble and bubble burst cycle. Will Bitcoin be banned? Understandably, many pose the question, why doesn't government ban it if it's such a threat? Fortunately, due to its decentralized nature, Bitcoin will be incredibly hard, next to impossible, for governments to ban. China's 2021 ban on all cryptocurrency trading and mining was a good example of the heavy hand of a government trying to squash any further mining or market development. Today, there is still up to 20% of Bitcoin mining taking place right in China. Onerous regulation is the most likely hindrance to further adoption. But this will be an opportunity for more liberal-minded nations to attract businesses and entrepreneurs within the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market to their country for all the potential jobs and tax revenue they could collect. The US was careful in the 90s not to overly regulate the internet and to allow commercial markets to develop naturally. Now, the nation hosts the top tech giants that collectively are valued in trillions. Thousands of different coins make them all useless. At the time of recording, there are over 13,000 cryptocurrencies. The vast majority are worthless at best. But there are a slim minority that have genuine use cases with thousands of developers building new and innovative financial products on top of them. In this sense, Bitcoin is seen as the granddaddy that has a low level of innovation, but has one benefit that sets it apart from the others: the level of decentralization. giving it the often flung description of a digital commodity. But the level of decentralization that consumers demand versus speed and usability is something that could challenge Bitcoin's popularity in the future. It is also vital to separate the network from the coin. As it is open source, there have been many copies of Bitcoin, but they do not have the size of the original's network, which is one of the main drivers of its value and security. So Bitcoin and copy and paste Bitcoin are not equal. One has a large secure network, the other does not. So what to make of it? Bitcoin has been quoted by many enthusiasts that it is Hayek's sly roundabout way of money finally being separated from the state, and that his famous Denationalisation of Money publication may become a reality. But it has many hurdles in its way before it can be conceived as a viable day-to-day currency. Its volatility and competition with other cryptocurrencies, although more centralised, provide more technological features and utility that can be covered in a future video. Yet the network continues to grow in computing power, users, use cases, and daily value transacted. The market will decide its fate, but free marketers should marvel at its growth from obscurity, growing spontaneously as Hayek suggested money does back in that 1976 paper. While central bankers expand the money supply and bureaucrats create ever-increasing public deficits, we may very well be witnessing the early stages of a disruptive innovation that none of them, fortunately, will be able to control.
Well, if you enjoyed that conversation, why not watch one of these other videos? And while you're here, remember to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss out on a single IEA broadcast.